Welcome to Huskies at Home, our weekly interview series featuring UConn head coaches on how they're handling these challenging times, with new episodes Saturdays at 10 a.m. exclusively on SNY.TV. This week, we're very pleased to be joined by head baseball coach at UConn, Jim Penders. And Jim, just how have you been doing with all that's been going on?
Thanks, Maria. It's good to be with you. We've been hanging in there. I've got 3 kids and my wife under the same roof, and they are definitely not used to having me around this time of year. So it's been more of an adjustment, I think, for them than for me. But it's been tough going without seeing the guys every day. And we're baseball coaches and baseball players, and this is a very unnatural habitat for us all. But there are so many thousands of people doing much worse off than we all are right now. So trying to keep it in perspective and go from there.
Well, you've been a part of UConn baseball for 27 of the last 29 years, including as a player. You mentioned just not being able to see your players. Is that the hardest part of everything that's happened, or is there something that's been harder for you during this time?
Yeah, just not being able to compete and see them, every day. I mean, they're 18 to 22 and they keep you guessing every day, and they're coping really well. I'm just amazed by their resilience and their toughness. And, I said at the beginning that baseball guys will be the last ones standing when this is over, because we all know what it's like to strike out and make errors and, figure out how to stand up after you get knocked down. There's so much failure inherent in our game. So this is, we tried to make it more like a really long rain delay.
Well, it seems like they've done well handling a really tough situation. What was the disappointment like for them when they got the news that the season would be canceled?
Before they even canceled our season, it felt like we shouldn't be doing this. We just shouldn't be doing this. And we all knew that when it did happen, it was jarring, but it was the right call. It was the right decision. And, it took a little time for that to sink in. Initially, we thought we would just be in kind of a delay and be able to pick up the season again. But a few days later, that was obvious that wasn't going to happen. Hey, it's not a tragedy. Those guys are going to graduate. And if they don't get it, we're not in, as much as I'd love to have them all, end naturally and have that senior day and have them get the jersey handed to them on the field and hear the applause one last time. We're not in the senior day business in higher education. We're in the diploma business, and they're going to get their diplomas.
Certainly not the closure that everyone was hoping for, but to some comfort might be the fact that the NCAA has granted spring sport athletes another year of eligibility. This also could cause some complications. So how have you been working through what this will all mean for your roster?
Yeah, it's great. The NCAA did what was right. I said it was right as rain, and that's absolutely true. The hard part is, a lot of our guys, when they first heard the news and I let them know, most of the guys immediately said, "Coach, it's great that the NCAA is paying for us to have another year." And I said, well, that's leads me to the next problem here, guys, is that the NCAA said they've given permission, but they're not paying. So our university has to decide whether or not we're going to pay for you to do that. Our university right now, it was going to be, I think, close to a $2 million proposition. And, the money's just not there. And the guys, they understood that. We're going to be allowed on a case-by-case basis for a couple guys that really expressed an interest in returning to use privately raised money to do so. And so I'm very grateful for that. We do have some reserve funds in that for a couple of the guys that really express a strong desire in returning after graduation. So we're going to take advantage of that for them. And for the other guys, we're going to have them back for a secondary senior day in the fall. We're going to open our Elliot Ballpark and make sure that we send them off the right way and give them their frame jersey and list their accolades and let them take the first swings at Elliot Ballpark in a uniform and do it the right way. But I feel good about it in that they all kind of were on the same page. The seniors understood. And some of them said, "Coach, it's time for me to put my big boy pants on and go get a job." And if they were going to come back, they were going to be on partial scholarships. They're going to have to ask mom and dad for more money, for another year to play after graduation. One of our guys from California, Cole Brodnansky, answered in such a mature way. He said, "Coach, I know that I want to come back, and I know you'd love to have me back, but I know that if I asked my mom and dad, they would find a way. And I just can't ask them because it's unfair.
Such a tough decision that they had to be faced with prematurely. And eligibility aside, the other aspect of this is the MLB draft, which we don't really know the details of how that's going to change. Did you have some upperclassmen that were considering trying to be drafted to a pro team? And how many do you expect will actually come back rather than trying to be drafted?
I think we had about 6 or 7 juniors that had a good chance of being drafted, at least somewhere. And I'd say 2 of them probably have a realistic chance if there's 10 rounds in the draft. Maybe 1 could sneak into the top 5, but he knows that'd be a long shot at this point. But we're not really going to know. The signing deadline looks like it's going to be August 1st, so we're not going to know what our roster is truly going to look like until August 1st. I do expect to lose a couple, but most of the guys are fine with coming back. They know we're going to have a really good team next year, and they're excited about it. So we've had to move some money around. The toughest conversations have been with the freshmen and sophomores who hadn't played a lot, hadn't traveled perhaps, but we saw a future for them, and I had to have some conversations with 4 guys that I didn't want to say goodbye to and still don't want to say goodbye to, but told them that we wouldn't be able to renew their scholarships.
A lot of uncertainty for sure, but we also do want to look ahead on a positive note. And you mentioned Elliot Ballpark, which was the new facility your season was supposed to start off with. How much are you looking forward to having that next season?
Oh, we've been working on it for a long time, and Doug and Sheila Elliott have been at the forefront of, they've waved the banner highest and been most supportive. I left a bottle of champagne on their doorstep on the day that we were supposed to open, along with some Cracker Jacks and peanuts, and they said, they were so grateful and said, we're going to pop that when we actually open the thing.
Coach, can you pinpoint when the time comes for you to return to the playing field, just what you're going to be most excited for and looking forward to most?
Just seeing the guys all in one place again, and not on this little Brady Bunch deal where we're all popping into these squares. And it's to have them all around and hear the ping of the bat and, the snap of the gloves and just have them all in the same place. That's what it's about. We're all part of something larger than ourselves. And when we're separated, it's more difficult to feel that. But, that's the thing I'm looking forward to most, is just getting the band all back together again.
Well, before we let you go, we'd love to get some insight into your quarantine life day to day, how you're spending your free time.
Well, I was dumb enough to buy a house several years ago. I don't know if I quite bought it. My wife, I was on a road trip, and I think she probably bought it. A lot of home improvement projects. I've gotten better at painting. I've painted a garage. She started me off easy with the garage. I couldn't really screw that up too badly. And then moved on to a bedroom. So we're getting there. There's a lot more to do, though, with a house built in 1769. I'll never really run out of projects. So this quarantine could last a few years, and I'm not going to be done. So we don't want it to last a few years. We want it to last a few more weeks. And then I can go back to my real life of being a baseball coach.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck with everything. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. It's been wonderful, and we look forward to speaking to you again down the line.
Thanks so much, Maria. I appreciate it.
And that's all for us this week on Huskies at Home. Be sure to tune in next week when our guest will be head coach of the field hockey team, Nancy Stevens. We'll see you then.